দর্শক সবাইকে স্বাগত কাজী অ্যাগ্রো টিভির নিয়মিত আয়োজন কৃষি ও অর্থনীতি অনুষ্ঠানে। পুরো সময় জুড়ে আপনাদের সাথে থাকবো আমি আহমেদ মোস্তফা রাতুল। দর্শক, আমরা জানি বাংলাদেশ পোল্ট্রি শিল্পে স্বয়ংসম্পূর্ণ একটি দেশ। তৈরি পোশাক খাতের পর পোল্ট্রি শিল্প বাংলাদেশে বিপ্লব ঘটিয়েছে, যার ফলে তৈরি হয়েছে লাখো মানুষের কর্মসংস্থান। এছাড়াও একটি মেধাবী ভবিষ্যৎ প্রজন্ম গড়তে, পুষ্টি চাহিদা মেটাতে পোল্ট্রি শিল্প গুরুত্বপূর্ণ ভূমিকা পালন করে আসছে। কিন্তু এই পোল্ট্রি শিল্পের সবচেয়ে বড় প্রতিবন্ধকতা হলো এই শিল্পের কাঁচামাল। বিশেষ করে করোনাকালীন সময়ে পোল্ট্রি শিল্প যেন অনেকটা ধসের সম্মুখীন হতে চলেছে। আজকে আমাদের আলোচনার বিষয় হলো করোনাকালীন সময়ে পোল্ট্রি শিল্পের কাঁচামালের সমস্যা এবং সমাধান। এ নিয়ে বিস্তারিত আলোচনা করতে আমাদের সাথে রয়েছেন একজন বিশেষ অতিথি। তিনি হচ্ছেন মিস্টার অ্যান্ড্রিয়াস লুকি, ম্যানেজিং ডাইরেক্টর অফ ডক্টর একেল অ্যানিম্যাল অ্যান্ড নিউট্রিশন কোম্পানি লিমিটেড অফ থাইল্যান্ড। মিস্টার অ্যান্ড্রিয়াস বিগত 10 বছর যাবৎ কাজী অ্যাগ্রো লিমিটেড কোম্পানির সাথে কাজ করে আসছেন এবং বাংলাদেশ অ্যাগ্রো ইন্ডাস্ট্রিজের সাথে মিস্টার অ্যান্ড্রিয়াস ওতপ্রোতভাবে জড়িত। আজকে আমরা তার কাছ থেকে জানব অ্যাগ্রো শিল্পের এই কাঁচামালের বিভিন্ন সমস্যা ও সমাধান সম্পর্কে। আশা করি তার কথাগুলো আমাদের ইন্ডাস্ট্রিজ শিল্পে অনেক কাজে আসবে। তার কাছ থেকে আমরা এই সম্পর্কে বিস্তারিত কিছু জানব।
Hello, Mr. Andres. Welcome to Kaji Agro TV. I know the last 10 years you were visiting Bangladesh, and this is the first time that you are coming to our TV shows. So you are warmly welcome here.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pandemic Corona is a big disaster of the world. If I talk about the business sector, in every sector, so each and every sector are fallen down for the pandemic Corona. And in Bangladesh, if I talk about the business sector, then I must say the agro industry has very much harmed for the pandemic Corona. And in Bangladesh, the raw materials problem are rising day by day. So can you say me something about what are the raw material problems in agro industry of Bangladesh and what could be its solution?
Well, I believe, first of all, I think the issue is a worldwide one. So what you see in Bangladesh, we see in all parts of Asia, we see in all parts of the world. So Europe, United States, every country in the world is affected by the current pandemic. So rising raw material prices, if this is corn, soybean meal, wheat, everything. This is an issue that our whole industry is facing. This has to do with shortages in supply chain. All raw materials, have risen considerably. As you mentioned, these raw materials, but also things, let's say, that we use as additives in our industry. When we look at things like sodium bicarb, like organic acids, in the past year, we had seen price increases of 100%, 200% for certain products. And this is connected with, shortages in supply. These shortages in supply mean that we need it in the feed industry, but these products are also used in the food industry. They are used in industrial purposes. So these are two sectors that are willing to pay a much higher price for the product. That means we in the feed industry have to compete with this price, and that's why the prices are rising. What our industry can do, I believe, if we have an issue with raw materials, I believe we have to look at different protein sources. For example, we might have to use corn, soybean with a quality that is inferior to what we usually would use. That would mean, for example, the use of things like mold inhibitors, use of mycotoxin binders in combination to assure to our customers to maintain the quality. But it would also mean, for example, that to use additives that can improve or increase our feed efficiency. Yeah? meaning to say we are able to feed a certain number of animals, but using less feed. So we are more efficient in the use of our raw materials. Yeah. So these are, I believe, are two ways to go in the current crisis.
Thank you, sir. Sir, in 2021, because of pandemic corona, our life becomes stuck for is about 1 year. So we are very unconscious about our future. So what could be in 2022 for our industry?
You know, when I mean, it's now 2 years ago that I traveled the last time to Bangladesh. That was in 2019, end of 2019, and in 2020, I mean, we started facing the pandemic, and I think everybody in our industry was thinking maybe the second half of 2021 would bring already some relief. Now, I believe we can safely say that 2021 was a much more difficult year than even 2020. So the uncertainties that we are facing are even bigger. I believe we are facing a tough situation in 2022.
So what are the possibilities to overcome in 2022 that what we have lost in 2021?
I think it will be important to work together. It will be important to the things that I mentioned, for example, in terms of feed situation, to look at efficiency. I think we learned a lot also from the pandemic, and increasing efficiency, I believe, is something that we can do, and we can do that together.
So what is the issue for rising raw material costs?
Well, I would say, you know, it's in itself, it's actually a supply chain issue. Supply chain issue means, for example, you are not able to get shipping. So shipping costs have tripled, have risen considerably when we compare from 1 year ago to now. And I mean, I came here via Singapore. Singapore is a busy harbor. But when I arrived in Singapore, I was amazed to see how many ships are actually piled up there. And all these ships, they are waiting to be unloaded and to be loaded again. There are so long waiting times. So basically, the vessels will not be able to complete many runs. We have less runs. That means it makes it more expensive to maintain the runs. The containers are placed somewhere in the harbors or on vessels. The turnover is much less. So there is a lot of clocking basically in loading and unloading. And all of this makes the transport of raw materials for production more expensive, of finished material to our end customers. So this is the main issue that we have.
The shipping which was over there is stuck, and because of the present situation, now is continuing the transaction of shipping. So is there any possibilities to reduce the cost?
I think this is like a ripple effect, no? And it will be with us at least still with another 6 months or 1 year until there will be maybe until prices will reach a certain peak. 4 runs. But I mean, you still have the same costs. You pay for the ship, you pay amortization, you pay for the people manning the ship, operating the ship. So the costs are the same, but the turnover is much less. So I believe that's the main issue. I do not know about the age of the vessels and how much has been scrapped or so. Well, yes, there were several issues, I believe. But now, for example, in Australia, they say they will have a record wheat production, a wheat harvest. But I mean, we faced several issues in terms of lower harvests. Now I think this will be, I mean, energy issue, I believe is an issue that is not only affecting China, and it's a bit of a political thing also, so I do not want to mention too much because this is out of my league. Maybe what can say is that if the current situation continues, we have strong buying, especially let's say from China. We will face a shortage in raw materials like corn, maize, also into 2022, and that means that the raw material prices are fluctuating, or not only fluctuating, but tendency will be to further increase.
If it costs 70% goes into raw materials, can you say something about the prices
and how it will continue? Well, I mean, we face currently shortages. I mean, this is obvious. The feed, raw material prices, corn, maize, I mean, they increased already by nearly 100% when we look in year-to-year basis. And I mean, if the situation is continuing, China is strongly buying also. We have some issues with harvests in parts of the world. I believe it is quite certain that there will be quite a lot of fluctuations still also in the future in 2022, and the chance for further increasing raw material prices. So maybe in addition to what I just said, I mean the issue is basically that this rise in prices cannot be given to the farmers. So that means for the feed millers, it's a tough situation. Prices are increasing, but their price to farmers, to their customers, they cannot increase adequately.
Thank you very much, sir, for being here. Hope your words will help our industries to get overcome from the corona situation, and this will helpful to industrialize. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for having me tonight, and I wish all of us in this industry a successful year 2022.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
দর্শক, চলে এলাম অনুষ্ঠানের প্রায় শেষ পর্যায়ে। এখন আমাদের বিদায় নিতে হবে। আশা করি মিস্টার অ্যান্ড্রিয়াসের যে গুরুত্বপূর্ণ তথ্যগুলো আমাদেরকে দিয়েছেন, এটি আমাদের অ্যাগ্রো ইন্ডাস্ট্রিতে বিভিন্ন কাজে আসবে। আগামী কোনো পর্বে নতুন কোনো তথ্য নিয়ে দেখা হবে আপনাদের সাথে। ততদিন পর্যন্ত ভালো থাকবেন, সুস্থ থাকবেন। আল্লাহ হাফেজ।